Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome to another exciting episode, or actually rather a little bit of a darker episode, sadly. Of course, there's still some brighter stuff to maybe share, because in today's video, I really want to talk about the subject of unemployment, but even more specifically about how the job market is doing, and even more specifically about why it's been particularly difficult to get a job today. So if you are someone that's currently unemployed or you're struggling to find work, then this is definitely the video for you. What maybe will make this video particularly special is that I'm also going to share some personal anecdotes about it as someone that's also living through that particular time with you as well. Some of you guys may or may not know is that I'm not on YouTube full time. Outside of this, I also happen to work in the entertainment industry, and we've been hit with a lot of difficult times as well, such as because of the writer's strike. You might have already heard about this. Feel free to comment if you have any thoughts or if you have heard about this. But the big idea is that in my particular industry outside of this right now, I work in the film industry. We're going through a lot of difficult moments because of the writer's strike, where there's just physically a lot less projects going around. And this is not just happening in my particular industry, but even a lot of other industries. There's things happening there around. All of this stuff we're going to be talking about in today's video, because the idea is that tech has been impacted, a lot of other industries have been impacted, there's been massive waves of layoffs that have been happening and all that stuff, but that's what today's video is going to cover. So if you are someone that's either unemployed, or you're just looking for a new job, or you're thinking about changing your particular job to maybe find something even better, or if you're just interested in knowing how the job market, then definitely watch through, because this is going to be the video for you. So with that being said, let's get this video started. But as always, real fast, you guys know the same drill, but if you guys enjoy videos like this, remember to smash the like button, consider subscribing, hitting the bell. We also make other videos about other kinds of finance topics if that's of interest, but we do also make a lot about unemployment as well, so that is something that I think is hopefully relatively relatable. And as always, feel free to leave a comment about any questions, personal thoughts, or how you guys are doing, or maybe feel free to even say hello about honestly just anything. So with that said, let's get this video started. So we're going to talk and list through several reasons about why it's particularly difficult to find work in today's economy and everything that's been going on. And the first reason really is going to be everything related to inflation and the recession. The big idea is that right now at this time, we are going through record high inflation, and it's a much more deeper topic, which I believe I already made a couple videos, so definitely check that out, talking about the inflation situation. I think the name of the video is literally like Inflation Recession Update or something along that lines. But the big idea is that as companies start to face a lot of recession difficulties and stuff, it means that costs for running businesses have also increased. This is even more true now because of the interest rate hikes that have been happening, meaning that it's even more difficult now to borrow money and make ends meet. When this particularly happens, what now ends up happening is that a lot of businesses have to start to save money in other areas. And what is one of this area? It happens to be in the cost of hiring workers. So that's one of the biggest things. Some people have said that the recession might be canceled. You might have seen videos like, oh, recession canceled, or recession is happening. But regardless of what's happening, one thing for sure is that the job market has definitely been very, very drastically impacted by everything that's been happening right now at this current time. Now, the second reason is going to be about the fact that because there are physically less jobs that are happening right now, it means that there's also a balance or a lack of balance between supply and demand inside of the job market, especially with the new wave of the graduating class of 2023, which is maybe, you could even say that's another reasoning, but they kind of combine together, so that's what we're going to combine it together. But right now at this current time period, because of the supply and demand situation, there are a lot less jobs to physically go around because a lot of jobs are being cut or replaced, or just removed in general. But at the same time, there's also a lot more people looking for jobs because of the layoff situation. So when you have a situation where the supply of jobs is very low, or certainly lower than once was, yet the demand for jobs is going up, that's not a particularly great recipe for the job market in general and trying to fill up those jobs, especially when there's a discrepancy between the actual jobs that people are looking for and then the skill set of what kind of job is physically hiring. All this really means in simple terms is that you can have a population of people that are out of work, you can create a certain number of jobs, but it's very possible that maybe most people that are looking for work happen to have skill sets in the tech industry, but that the jobs being created are in the hospitality industry, which is actually very legitimate to what's happening or very reflective right now. We made a video talking about the job market, the unemployment situation, so definitely check that video. It'll be at the very end screen. But on top of that, you also have something that I think a lot less people are talking about, which is really about the new graduating class of 2023. Because there were a lot of students that during the pandemic, so what should have been the class of 2020 and 2021, that because of the pandemic situation that ended up happening, they ended up taking a gap year. And they found out that because they ended up taking a gap year, it means that the graduating class in those particular years ended up delaying their graduation, so that the graduating class of 2020 and 2021 was a little bit smaller than usual. But yet that also means that the graduating class now of 2022, 2023, and for those in the pandemic years, so those that went to school at some point during the pandemic situation, it means that the graduating class is a little bit larger. So that means that the demand for jobs is going to go up even further now, which is once again going to make the recipe even worse than it already was. And that's one of the more difficult things that's happening. They also did say, maybe as a third reason, is that because of that reason, the physical HR, human resource, and recruiting business, or recruiting industry or recruiting positions, have actually gone down as well, so that there's also a lot less recruiters that are looking for jobs as well. The logic behind this really is that if you have less people physically hiring, it also means that there's a lot less business for people that run the business of physically hiring. In other words, for people that work in HR, people that work in recruiting, people that work in just the jobs that involve looking or helping people look for jobs, there are less people looking for those positions and less people working those positions as well, which is making it really, really difficult to accomplish all of this stuff. And I think that's one of the also important things that's hopefully going to be important to really just absorb and get out there. Now, the rest of this video is going to be somewhat related, but they're going to be different topics as well. And this is going to be everything related to one of the biggest topics and one of the most viral trending topics that's being talked about all over the world right now, which is really about the rise of AI technology, ChatGPT, and all of the stuff in that particular world. Because it is because of the increased usage of technology right now, the fourth reason why it's particularly really difficult to look for a job right now is that it's also very, very difficult to physically network your way to look for a job. And I've made videos in the past talking a lot about this, about how one of the biggest methods and secrets to really boost your chances to find a job is really through networking and trying to meet the right people to hopefully get some advice to get these jobs. However, if you are in a situation right now, or if we are in a situation right now where it's physically harder to network because people are operating or running things behind a computer screen, they're going out a lot less, there's not as many events and things that are going on compared to usual, then it means it's a lot more difficult to network right now. I know that, for example, maybe I'm particularly traditional, but I still prefer networking and meeting people in a real life face-to-face basis, more so than trying to do it through a computer screen behind the back. And that's one of the more difficult things about it, because if it's more difficult to network, it also means that it's a lot harder for recruiters to be able to screen their candidates as well, because they have to actually look through things in real life. This also means that it's harder to physically meet more people, and it means it's harder to get the interview as well. Many people are going to talk about how, oh, you can always just get the interview, and that's how people are going to show their personality through the interview. But if you can't necessarily network your way there, then it means that it's going to be difficult to even land the interview to begin with, which is one of the more important areas of what you have to actually try to focus on in order to land jobs in our particular economy right now in this age. This also leads on to maybe the fifth reason, which is really everything related to AI. Because of AI and ChatGPT and the rise of new technology, there's also a lot of talks right now that many jobs may not really exist, or certainly the demand for those jobs might not really be particularly good now going forward from here. It's especially true with any job that's very robotic or automatic, where you can easily use ChatGPT to either help out with those particular jobs so you have less jobs to go around because again there's less labor required now, or that might even be replacing these jobs in general. So this goes back to the supply and demand situation where there's people are getting laid off, people are getting replaced, there is now an increased demand for jobs but a lower supply, and this is just not a good recipe to be particularly a part of, but sadly what's happening inside of our economy right now at this particular time. And then probably the last reason, which is going to also extend to all of this stuff that's happening with AI, is that there's also just because of the rise of AI, it also means that it's a lot harder to get feedback on things that we do. How this particular relates is, just think of it this way, is that if we are sitting down and we're able to network in the traditional sense, right? Like we're able to meet people in real life, we're able to kind of network our way, we can also often ask for a lot of feedback about how we're doing. If we're sitting in an interview, we can try to ask them for, oh, how did we do, all that stuff. But with AI, it's a lot more difficult because there's also a lot of say right now and a lot of belief that we might be moving into a situation where people are now conducting their interviews with AI. In other words, they're going to be interviewed by an actual physical computer that's out there. Instead, there's also something, I know, for example, in the entertainment industry right now, we are now seeing a lot of things where people are interviewing, doing something called a self-tape. Back then, it was where something, if you wanted to audition or you wanted to go out for a certain particular job, you would just meet employers face to face. Today, they also do something called self-tapes, which is basically where you record yourself answering particular questions and then trying to send out those self-tapes to employers or people to hopefully maybe hire you. But if you're not able to get feedback, it also means that you're not able to grow as much, and that's just another thing that's just making it even harder than it already has been to do all of the stuff that we've talked about in today's video. So the big idea is that it's just been a very, very difficult time. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I really just wanted to cover in today's video. So if you guys found that relatively, hopefully insightful, consider smashing the like button, consider subscribing, hitting the bell. We make videos on other kinds of finance topics as well, so definitely keep that in mind as something as a heads up. And with that being said, feel free to leave a comment. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, try to stay employed, but if you're not, hopefully best of luck, because I totally relate to that as well. And hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.